On today's video, we make a Blitz deck out of the contents of what we opened from this History Pack 1 box. All that and more, stay tuned. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to begin by looking at the contents of what we opened in the last video. Now, I will admit, I'm no mastermind at creating decks, and while I have watched some very great people make some decks, we're going to start with what I'm comfortable with, and that is Dash. So we're going to start by looking at the cards that we opened up inside of our History Pack 1. Now, this stack of cards here is the specific Mechanologist cards that we opened. On top of that, we have this stack of generic cards. Now, what's going to be interesting is as we attempt to create these decks, we are going to need to create deck lists so that we can take these and import them into Talishar, or technically Flesh and Blood Online. I think they've changed their name, but basically I want to take them online so that I can take this deck and face it against a Fi pre-constructed starter deck. What that does mean is that I do need to organize these cards in a fashion in which I can create the deck, and then the generics I can pull out so that I can make the other 7 decks in this for each class. That way we can have 7 decks to be able to play around with and understand what you could do with a box. Because I'm more familiar with Dash, we're going to begin with Dash as the character of choice for me to try and create this with. Now, unlucky, we only got one piece of Mechanologist here, which is the Boots, the Achilles Accelerator. Now, something not uncommon to myself is we did get the Goliath Gauntlet. The Goliath Gauntlet is actually typically something I would run in a hand location or an arm location for Dash, meaning that I'm not saying that that would be a bad choice. We do not have a chest and we do not have a head, so let's take a look at what other generic chest and head options we have that we opened in our history pack. So there is a chest, there's a head. We already have a legs, there's a chest, there's a head, there's a chest, there's a legs. That is a sword, which we could choose as our weapon, and there is another chest. So we'll put these away because if I had the choice between the accelerator, the legs, and the Mage Master boots, I'm going to pick the accelerator all day, every day, because it's going to give me an action point. If you don't know what an action point is, check out our video about how to play Flesh and Blood and what action points mean. As we dive in, let's take a look. We got head, head, chest, chest, chest. So we have 2 choices in this box for head. Hope Merchant and No Run. Now, if we're going against somebody who has arcane damage, which in my idea, because I know we're going against Fi, is not going to be a thing, we are not going to pick the No Rune. We're going to pick the Hope Merchant's Hood, which is going to give us the ability to basically mulligan and get something different. Now for chest, again, we have a couple options here. No Rune, which is specific to arcane damage. We're going to omit that. You could go with the hardened cross straps and give yourself 2 extra, I guess, an attack action that's going to cost 2 or less. When attack action you control hits destroy, if you do gain 2, that's possible, but also this has 1 defense. So if I had to really pick, it would be between these 2 here. And for sake of argument, we're just going to pick the hardened cross straps and go with the try and go fast dash version. We'll see what happens. Now, technically, there's a pistol, pew pew, that is actually probably the weapon of choice, but because we are dealing with what we opened, right? Technically, the pistol is a token. I'm going to assume, for all intents and purposes, that you have 1 of every token when you are playing this game, meaning that the pistol is an option. I think that we are going to want to run the pistol over the Talishar in the scenario for this particular build out. Given that, I am going to basically say that this is a pistol for all intents and purposes. The reason is because for every hero and for every weapon that is a generic non-majestic or non-super short-printed version, there is an easy-to-get token, and like I said, go to your friends, go to a local game store. Somebody's going to have them. They'll be willing to give them out to you. You'll be able to get what you need, or go to TCG Player. You can purchase them there. But yeah, they're tokens. Most people will give you one. Buy a couple of packs of that set, you'll probably hit it. Funny thing is that Arcane Rising has been out of print, Cruise out of print, Welcome to Race out of print, so you probably won't really hit those tokens unless you find some older packs at a store. So it is what it is. All right, so now on to the mech main class. We're going to take these and slap them off to the side for the moment. Let's see what rares we got. Ooh, red sink below. It wants me to run red sink below. That was not a mech card. That was a miscategorization. A missed categorization. Wow, did we really only hit 3 rares? Holy moly. 3 rares. All right, what do we got? Cognition Node, Amplifier, and Attack. Now, if you haven't read Dash's ability, because that's important, you could start a game with Mechanologist item that costs 2 or less in play. Now, both of these cost 2 or less. This is a Mechanologist item, this is a Mechanologist item. So one of these gets to begin the game in play. That's right. Isn't that awesome? Do we get any other items? Let's check. We got 1 item there. We got 1 item. We got 1 item. Look at that. We got items galore. Yeah, so many items to choose from. Just kidding. Ooh, we got a hyperdriver. So, let's see here. Even though we have these options, so we're going to move sync below to the thing. All right. We have cognition nodes. Remove a steam counter from cognition nodes. If it hits, put it on the bottom of your deck. If there are no steam counters on cognition node, put 1 there. Amplifier starts with 2, and then remove a counter. The next card you play gains dominate. Go again. The monocle enters with 5 steam counters, and when you have none on it, it destroys it, but it has an action. Remove a steam counter, opt 1, go again. Now, in a Dash variation where we're going to run all boost cards and we're running all mech cards, you don't have to worry about hitting a generic card, which is going to mess up your boost. What is boost? As an example, 0 to 60 right here, this card says boost. And what that means is that if this is the top of your deck and you flip that over, you would not get an action point because you wouldn't fulfill hitting a Mechanologist card. However, if you flipped over a Zipper hit, which is a mech card, you would then get your action point back, which would allow you to go again. Opt is going to be the ability to look at the top of that deck and say, that sink below that's on top of my deck right there, we don't want that. We want to put that on the bottom of the deck so that we know when we burn through and we get that, we'll get that action point. All right. So, because we have a bunch of items here, I really don't know which one we want just yet. But we want to keep these separate because we'll come back to this as a kind of a later choice. Hyperdriver seems like a logical choice. I've run Convection Amplifier a couple times, but Cognition Nodes might be something. I guess it really depends on what we can build here. We do have 1 pedal to the metal, and that may be our big beat stick of the card for this particular deck. Alright, so let's see what we got here. We got Zipper Hit, 0 to 60. We got Overlooper. We got Throttle. We got Overloop, we got Zipper Hit, we got 0 to 60, we got Throttle again, Combustible Courier, 0 to 60, Overloop, Throttle, 0 to 60, Combustible, Throttle, Zipper, Zippity-doo-dah-day, Combustibilities, Throttle, Overlooper, and 0 to 60. Now, I won't actually be going through and doing this live or recording for all builds, but because I'm super familiar with Dash, I chose to do it for this one, mostly to kind of give you some of my logic behind, again, a person who doesn't know everything about the game, but tries to be pretty good when they can. Now, because we're playing Blitz, and 0 to 60 is a great card, we almost have a full set of what we're looking for. We got 2, 2, and 1. We didn't even get 3 of a card, so we're not wasting so far. Next on the list, we got 2, 2, and 1. So we got 2 zippers. So that looks like, to me, a solid start to a Boosty Boost Dash deck. All right, let's look what we got next. We got Throttles. Throttles cost 2. That's kind of a thing that's a little bit hard to swallow, but we did get almost a full suite of those. Next on the list is, again, Overloop. We got 2, 2, and 1. So, again, an option here for us to possibly choose from. And we got Combustible Courier. Now, again, 2, 1, and 1. So those are the true mech cards that we hit. We also had a Pedal to the Metal. Now, sadly, because again, I believe that we're not going to be probably generating as much resources, and Blitz is a more fast-paced game. I feel like putting in cards like this Throttle is probably going to be pretty good, because in the end you're still trying to boost to get an action point, but in reality presenting 6 damage is pretty damn good. The downside here is it being red, and because it is costing 2, we have to pitch with blue. So I would probably say in this case I'm going to throw both red Throttles in there, but I'm not going to throw the red Combustible Courier in there. But I do want to put the 2 red Overloops in, just for sake of having the, I guess, recursion factor, to put it on the bottom of the deck just in case. Now, we did get 1 Pedal to the Metal here. It gets Dominate, but, well, I should say the next attack gets Dominate. But again, it's 2 for a 5. It is 3 defense, which is still pretty good. But I think we need to concentrate on putting in a suite of blues. And that means that by putting in these blues, they're not going to do as much, but these still give +3s. Again, they cost to play, but I'm looking to try to have this balance of pitching. So we're going to want to load some blues in here. And then Throttle, again, same thing. It's a straight boost card. It does, on the low end, 4, 5, but Overloop and Combustible Courier, we're going to omit those. So what do we have? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We're going to go 21 cards. We're going to go exactly just a little over 50% of the deck here. I want to make that as my Mechanologist core of this deck. We're going to pick Hyperdriver as my main, and I don't want to have any of these 0 defense in my deck. That's just a personal choice at this stage. We've already gone through the equipment, so that's not something we need to worry about. So that is going to be the beginning of the Dash build. Now, we're going to load in, we have some generics. So we have Last Ditch Effort. I don't think it's worth playing in Dash in this build. I don't think that that's going to help us. Art of War, however, I might as well put it in. We hit it. It's a great card. It was the most valuable card in our box, so why not? Let's put it in the deck. I've run Art of War in a Dash build before. It just doesn't necessarily always equate to the, you know, winning combination, but in Blitz, this could definitely change the way a turn goes. Now, the thing that's going to really suck about this is if we boost and that guy goes womp, womp, womp and gets banished, because that is not what we want to have happen. So where are we at? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We have 22 of our 40 cards. Well, I'm sorry, 23, because this technically does count in the deck. We have 23 of the 40 cards already identified. And now we get to go look at the generics. Now, again, these are all the Majestics we hit, but they're for different classes, so they're not going to really help us out. Now, there is a myriad of ways we can skin this cat here. I think the very first thing we got to do is sort. So we're going to have to kind of see what we got. We'll start with maybe the rares here and see if there is enough duplication to create some interesting combos with some of the rares. But I'm going to go with, we didn't hit enough of the specific rares like Snatch or things that would really, truly be interesting. But we're going to see. So it looks like those are the only ones we hit. Alright, we got a blue Sigil, a red, we got a blue Prayer, we got a red Snatch, we got a yellow Snatch, we got an Enlightened, a Life for a Life, 2 of those, and a Springboard. Alright. Well, the sad reality here is this is poo-poo for most of what we're trying to do. But I think putting in this red Snatch is going to be a good choice for if it hits draw a card. That's great. We want more cards. Because we are going to be pitching, I will say that this is going to serve a couple of purposes. It's going to be something that can gain us at least 1 life. It'll pitch for blue. We'll earmark it as a possibility. We could run yellow Snatch, which would, it still, I mean, it defends for 2. That's the only problem here, is it drops down to a lower defense value, that it's something that I don't really think we're going to really want to deal with. We're not trying to reveal and do any of that. This to me does not jive well in the deck. Life for life. It's just, I don't think that's not going to help. Springboard Somersault is a defense reaction. It could technically go for 4, but I think we have other defense reactions that are going to be a better option. So of the rares, we're going to avoid that. Let's look at some D-reacts here. So we got generic attack reactions. We got generic actions, generic attack reaction, attack reaction. We're going to look at the attack reactions before we go. There's a defense reaction, attack reaction, attack reaction, defense reaction, defense reactions, defense reactions, attack reactions, and I'm going to know most of these because these are the cards that we play with. So there shouldn't be any missed here. Generic, 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 generic. These are not defense. Scar for a Scar is an attack action. These are generic actions. Alright, so what did our attack and defense reactions look like? So, red Fate Foreseen, red Unmovable, and red Sink Below. These are our 3 that we would like to have seen more of. However, we really didn't get anything close to that. We got a couple of Sink Belows, we got a couple of Fate Foreseens, and a little Unmovable. So, overall, if I had to pick, I'm not sure that the Fate Foreseen is an Opt 1, but it's a defensive 4, it's red, so we'll throw that in. Unmovable is a great defense reaction. It's 7, but it costs 3 to play. That's going to be a little bit rough. But if you're against something that's coming in for something big, let's stick it in. Let's also go with the 1 generic defense reaction. We're going to avoid for right now. We're not going to throw in the other defense reactions at the moment. I'm debating on putting the I don't know, maybe the yellow Sink Below would be interesting. Yellow Unmovable I have put into a dash deck before depending on the matchup. But because you're not sideboarding, I'm going to go with maybe not on that. Let's look at attack reactions. Red Pummel is always good. Looks like we didn't get any red Razor Reflexes, so we do not get the option of that. However, we didn't... How do we not get a single red Razor Reflex? Oh, crap. Well, the problem with this is Pummel is target hammer or target club or hammer weapon, target attack action with 2 or greater gains +4. Now, you're going to find out that in here that Overloop is a 2 or more, but you're already paying 2 for those. So because of that, Pummel really is not a good fit for Dash. We're sadly not really lined up to leverage the Pummel like I would like. Now, Razor Reflex, target sword or dagger, gains +1. Now, if we were to run the Talishar here, this Talishar is a sword, meaning that Razor Reflex would come into the mix of being a possible viable option. But we didn't hit any reds, which is where we're going, and you still have to pay 1 for these. So we're going to pause on those and think twice, and we'll come back to it. So where do we sit with a card count? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28. That means we're still 12 cards short. We're down to this. So, while I said it might be easy, it is not going to be that great. So I'm just going to kind of sort these out and get some semblance of what we would have to work with here. Nimblism and Slogism. We got Come to Fight Again, Scar for Scar, Nimblism, Slogism, Whispers, and Feather Walkers. Alright, so let's start with Nimblism. So Nimblism here is we got 1 red, 1 blue, and 2 yellow. The next attack card with 1 or less gains +3. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, we got 0 to 60s. Those are Mechanologist attacks. So in reality, we could definitely do a Nimblism. So let's throw the red Nimblism in. We'll see if we want to do maybe a blue Nimblism. We'll put that sideways for now. We'll put those over here. Flock of the Featherwalkers. Additional cost of playing Flock of the Feather, wheel one. So we're not going to be dealing with that. I don't think that's going to fit well with this build. Ravenous Rabble. We did get 2 1-1. Reveal a card from your deck where X is the pitch value. Go again. It is a 0 for 5, but it gets -X depending on the attack value of that. We have a lot of high attack value, so that can come back and bite us. Come to fight. The next action card you play this turn gains +2. It costs 1. Not going to really want to deal with that. Whisper the Oracles. Opt 2 and go again. That's a defense of 3. This is Opt 4. This is Opt 2. Again, not an attack card, but something that we could maybe look at. We'll earmark 2 of those. The red. Scar, if you have less, it gains go again. We got 2 reds. Let's pick them. You know, let's go for it. The next card with 2 or greater gains +4. We don't have the red slogism, so let's pull those out. Now let's take a look at where we at. So with those cards, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. We're still 6 cards shy. So now we're back to generics again. Again, Razor Reflexes and Pummels. Really not going to help us. So those are basically inoperable. We could pick a Fate Foreseen. So we'll pick the blue Fate Foreseen. We could pick Sink Belows. So, okay, let's pick 2 blue Sink Belows and a yellow Unmovable. We're basically going into like turtle mode with this kind of stuff. So, now you're down to Slogisms, Ravenous Rabble, Featherwalkers, and Nimbleisms. So, Nimbleism and Slogism, again, that's not really, in my opinion, something that would really fit super well in the dash. Now, let's look at maybe back at some of these. I mean, I guess let's throw in the Yellow Snatch, because we're getting to the desperate part here. And we'll throw in another, we'll D-react up. We're just going to go more for the, like, the let's slow this game down. Let's see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 5, 6, 7, 3, 8, 39, 40. Look at that. We are at 40, and we didn't have to use any of the Nimbleisms or Slogisms. Again, I am sure that I'm making some logical bad decisions based on my deck building prowess. I don't think is all there, but this to me would be the Dash 40 card deck that would take on Phi. So we're going to take this 40 card deck with the young Dash and battle Phi. Alright. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. And we're going to get that video shot so that my friend can play against me. Because what better time to play?
Your captain.